Apple has a problem, and it's not the one you think. For years now, they've been trying to crack the code on their lineup's third slot. You know, that mysterious middle child between the base iPhone and the Pro models. First, they tried small with the iPhone mini. That didn't work. Then they went big with the Plus. That flopped too. And now they're betting everything on thin with the iPhone Air. But here's the thing. History is repeating itself again. And I think I might know why. See, Apple's approach to this third model has always been the same. Take one feature, make it extreme, charge a premium, and hope people care enough to buy it. But what we're about to see, most customers just don't care about these features the way Apple thinks they do. Let's start where this problem really began. Remember when everyone was complaining about phones getting too big? Social media was filled with people saying, I just want a phone that I can use with one hand again. Apple listened. In 2020, they introduced the iPhone 12 mini. It was everything people claimed they wanted. A full flagship experience in a compact 5.4-inch body. It felt amazing in the hand. You could reach every corner of the screen with your thumb. It actually fit in your pocket without creating a bulge. I loved mine. But apparently, I was one of about 7 people who did. The iPhone 12 mini became the worst selling iPhone 12 model by a massive margin. According to CIRP data from early 2021, the mini made up just 6% of total iPhone 12 sales in the US. Meanwhile, the regular iPhone 12 took 27%, with the Pro models capturing the rest. Even when Apple tried again with the iPhone 13 mini, the numbers got worse. It captured just 3% of total iPhone sales in its launch quarter. The problem was simple. People said they wanted a small phone, but what they actually wanted was a phone with great battery life that they could use all day without thinking about it. And you can't have both. Physics doesn't work that way. The mini's battery was tiny at just 2,227 milliamps in the iPhone 12 mini and 2,406 milliamps in the 13 mini. Real world tests found the 12 mini struggled to even last until evening with moderate use. Apple discontinued the mini after just 2 generations. It was one of the shortest lived iPhone variants in the company's history. The message was clear. Customers don't actually prioritize size when it compromises the features they truly care about. But did Apple learn from this? Not quite. After discontinuing the mini, Apple tried the opposite approach. If small didn't work, maybe big would. Enter the iPhone 14 Plus in 2022. This was supposed to be the answer. A large 6.7-inch screen like the Pro Max, but at a more affordable price point starting at $899. No Pro features, just size and battery life. Apple even promoted it as having the best battery life ever in an iPhone. The two things normal people supposedly wanted, but the Plus had a different problem than the mini. It wasn't a complete disaster, but it wasn't a success either. Early reports showed weak pre-orders and production cuts. When the numbers came in, the 14 Plus captured roughly 10 to 11% of iPhone sales in its launch quarter. Better than the mini's 3 to 6%, sure, but still the worst performing model in the iPhone 14 lineup by a significant margin. The iPhone 15 Plus showed the same pattern. CIRP data from early 2024 found the 15 Plus accounted for only 9% of iPhone sales, making it the smallest share among the 15 series models. Even case manufacturers reported consistently lower demand for Plus cases compared to the other models in the lineup. Apple kept the Plus around for the iPhone 16 lineup, but the sales story remained unchanged. So why exactly did the Plus underperform? It's actually the inverse of the mini problem. The mini compromised too much for its defining feature, yet the Plus wasn't different enough. For just $100 to $200 more, customers could get the Pro Max, which had the same size and battery life, plus dramatically better cameras, Pro Motion display, always on display, dynamic island, better performance, and better build quality. The value proposition didn't make sense. Most people who wanted a big phone wanted the best big phone, not just a big phone. The Plus was big and nothing more. And this brings us to 2025 with Apple's latest attempt to crack the third slot puzzle. When Apple announced the iPhone Air earlier this year, it felt like deja vu. Like, here we go again. Another iPhone variant betting everything on one extreme feature. This time, it's thinness. At its thinnest point, the iPhone Air measures just 5.6 millimeters. It weighs 165 grams. Holding it does feel surreal, like picking up a phone made of air, hence the name. But we've seen this move before, and we know how it ends. Unfortunately, the iPhone Air is already showing the same warning signs as the Mini and Plus before it. On pre-order day, every iPhone 17 Pro Max configuration sold out within the first hour of shipping delays pushing into weeks. The iPhone 17 and 17 Pro followed suit, selling out of most configurations within days. But the iPhone Air, it remained available for launch day delivery the entire pre-order period. You could order one right up until launch day and still get it on release day. Production tells an even clearer story. According to supply chain reports from analysts like Ming-Chi Kuo, Apple has increased production for every iPhone 17 model due to strong demand, except one, the iPhone Air. Production has allegedly been cut by around 1 million units. When we look at accessory sales data shared by Marques Brownlee with Dbrand, the Air captured just 5% of iPhone 17 case sales. Only 5%. That puts it dead last, even behind the base iPhone 17, which took around 7 to 8%. So what went wrong this time? It's the same core issue that hurt the Mini and hurt the Plus. Apple prioritized one feature at the expense of everything else that actually matters to customers. That CNET survey of over 2,000 smartphone users from last month is incredibly revealing. When asked what motivates them to upgrade, price was the top answer at 62%, followed by battery life at 54%, storage at 39%, and camera features at around 30%. Surprisingly, phone thinness ranked near the absolute bottom at just 7% of respondents. Think about that. Apple built an entire iPhone around a feature that only 7% of customers care about. And even for that 7%, the Air has problems. The battery offers 27 hours of video playback compared to 30 hours for the base iPhone 17, and then 33 hours for the 17 Pro. The camera system is dramatically worse than what you'd expect at this price point, using the same single 48 megapixel lens as the $599 iPhone 16e, despite the Air costing $999. And here's the kicker: the phone isn't even as thin as Apple claims. The 5.6 millimeters measurement is at the thinnest point of the body, but where the camera plateau sits, it measures around 11.3 millimeters. That's nearly as thick as the standard iPhone 17 at 11.4 millimeters. Apple conveniently doesn't mention this in their marketing. When they introduced the original MacBook Air, they were honest about it tapering from 0.76 inches to 0.16 inches, and included both measurements in the specs. However, they didn't extend that same transparency to the iPhone Air. The massive camera plateau creates real problems too. Users have reported on Apple's own forums that wireless chargers in cars often don't work because the plateau prevents the back of the phone making contact with the charging pad. Cases have to be significantly thicker to protect the cameras, which defeats the entire purpose of buying a thin phone, right? It's a compromise that most users won't accept, especially at $999. At this point, you might be wondering why Apple keeps doing this. 3 attempts in a row, 3 different approaches, 3 underperforming results. What's going on? I think the answer lies in how Apple views innovation versus how customers view value. Apple sees these models as pushing boundaries. The Mini pushed the boundaries of how small a modern flagship could be. The Plus pushed the boundaries of affordability for a larger screen. The Air pushes the boundaries of thinness. These are impressive engineering achievements, but engineering achievements don't always translate to products people want to buy. The problem is that Apple is optimizing for singular features in a market that demands balance. Look at the iPhone models that actually sell well. The base iPhone 17 offers solid performance, good battery life, decent cameras, and reasonable pricing. It's balanced. The iPhone 17 Pro Max offers the absolute best of everything. It's uncompromising. Both of these have clear value propositions, but the third slot, it's always been about trade-offs, and customers hate trade-offs. This is why the Pro models have been such massive hits. They don't ask you to compromise. Yes, they cost more, but you get more. Better cameras, better displays, better performance, better everything. The value is obvious. But the Mini asked you to sacrifice battery life for size. The Pro asked you to sacrifice Pro features for a larger screen at a lower cost. And the Air asks you to sacrifice battery, cameras, and functionality for thinness. None of these trades feel worth it to most people. There's also a pricing problem with the Air specifically. It cost $999. For that same money last year, you could buy the iPhone 16 Pro, which had a bigger battery, 3 camera lenses with far more capabilities, Pro Motion display, always on display, USB 3 support, faster wireless charging, a LiDAR scanner, stereo speakers, 4 microphones, and 5G support. The Air does have some advantages like its newer A19 Pro chip and double the base storage, but most people would take the extra functionality of the Pro. Even compared to this year's lineup, the value proposition is weak. The base iPhone 17 cost $799, which is 20% less than the Air, but actually has more features. Better battery life at 30 hours versus 27, faster charging, stereo speakers, an ultra-wide camera with macro mode, spatial photo and video capabilities, and cinematic mode. For anyone on a budget, choosing the Air would be a mistake. And if someone is willing to spend $999, why not just spend $100 more for the 17 Pro? That extra $100 gets you a vapor chamber cooling system, better battery life at 33 hours, faster charging, a dramatically improved camera system with ultra-wide and telephoto lenses, 8 times optical zoom, macro mode, spatial capture, 4K at 120 frames per second, Pro Motion 120 Hz display, ProRes RAW, Apple Log, cinematic mode, a 4 mic array, a LiDAR scanner, USB 3 support for dramatically faster transfers, and the Wave 5G. I think you kind of get it. The Air is stuck in no man's land. Apple likely sees the iPhone Air differently than I do. They're probably thinking about the MacBook Air. Back in 2008, the original MacBook Air was also a polarizing product. It cost $1,799, which was substantially more than the entry-level MacBook. And like the iPhone Air today, it gave you less for more money. Less battery, less storage, less performance, fewer ports, weaker speakers, and worse thermals. Critics tore it apart for not having enough ports, weak performance, and especially for having no DVD drive. Who would pay substantially more for less? But Steve Jobs called it the future of notebooks. And he was right. The original Air introduced innovations that became industry standard within just a few years. Unibody aluminum design, solid-state drives, no optical drive, minimal ports, and multi-touch trackpads. Within a couple of years, the MacBook Air went from being one of Apple's most expensive laptops to their most affordable. It eventually became their best-selling model. Could the same thing happen with iPhone Air? Maybe. The Air does introduce some interesting technologies. Its metal battery design helps strengthen the phone's structure without extra reinforcement. The 3D printed USB-C port is thinner, stronger, and uses less material than traditional ports. And Apple's C1X modem prioritizes power efficiency over raw speed, using 30% less power than the modems in other models. These innovations could trickle down to other models over time, but there's a crucial difference between the MacBook Air in 2008 and the iPhone Air in 2025. Laptops weren't a mature market yet. There was room to redefine what a laptop should be. The Air correctly predicted where laptops were heading, away from optical drives towards SSDs, toward thinner designs that were still functional. Smartphones are different. The market is mature. The MacBook Air succeeded because it bet on the future correctly. The iPhone Air is betting that smartphones are heading towards extreme thinness, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Battery life, cameras, and AI features are where the smartphone market is heading, not thinness. Apple's third slot problem isn't going away until they fundamentally rethink their approach. Stop chasing extreme features, stop asking customers to make compromises, instead start offering balanced value. What would a successful third iPhone look like? Probably something boring. Maybe it's an iPhone with the Pro's camera system, but the base model's screen and materials. Or an iPhone with extended battery life without the size increase. Or an iPhone with unique colors and finishes that let people express themselves without sacrificing features. The answer probably isn't sexy or revolutionary. It's practical and balanced. The Mini, Plus, and Air all struggled for the same reason. reason. They prioritized engineering showcases over customer needs. They optimized for one extreme trait while sacrificing the essentials that survey data shows people actually care about. Until Apple learns this lesson, we'll keep seeing new variants launch with fanfare and quietly underperform. The third slot remains cursed, and honestly, maybe that's okay. Maybe Apple's lineup only needs two tiers, base and pro. Simple and clear. Everything else has been a distraction. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.